In this extension work, we will have a look at what you should do if you don't want to use the supplied images, and we'll also look at how we will deal with several different enemies at once. So, what if we don't want to use the selected images? What should we do? Well, we can see that we are loading up some local files here, policeman and zombie. And we just do the same kind of thing, but with our own images in our own code. So I have here a list of the local files. But what I can do is I can download and then upload my own images. So we've got a cop. It might be nice if we had cops and robbers. So I'm going to type in robber as an image search in Google. And we've seen already that having a transparent image is the way to go rather than having a JPEG. If we take something like this, then we'd have a wall drawn behind our robber. So I'm going to go to Tools and Color. And the first thing I want to do is to choose Transparent. And we can see there are some possible candidates here. But the other thing we should probably do is try to use a reasonable size. So I'm going to go for icon size and see if we can find something reasonable that could be used in our game. The other thing that obviously you should think about is any copyright issues and whether you are allowed to make use of any images you find on the screen. I'm quite liking this little Lego man, and you can see it's got a transparent background by the checkerboard that we can see here. So I'm going to right click here and save image as. That is going into my pictures folder, and it is going to be called just Bandit. Now it seems to be a JPEG, which means that that probably isn't proper transparency actually. So I'm just going to cancel that and see again if we can find something that is a proper transparent JPEG. And I'm looking, I've got a full-size cop, so I'm looking for a full-size robber. Maybe this one here. So if I right click and save image as, this time it's a PNG file, which is good. Terrible name for it here, so we're just going to put this down to robber. I'm going to put that into pictures and save. And now back in PyGame, I have here I've got add file, I've got add folder, but by using the little three dot menu here, I can choose to upload a file. I go to where I saved my image. So here's robber.png, and I open that up. And we see that robber.png has appeared here. And I can simply change the name of the file that I'm loading in as an enemy. So he was called zombie.png, he's now called robber.png. Notice that all my variables still refer to zombie. And in my drawing, I'm still referring to the zombie object, but it won't really make a difference. It will show up as a small robber there, who I can click and catch. And obviously the faster I hit him, the more points I get. Now, that was one robber. We are going to be able to have a look at having lots of robbers and lots of different enemies. And to show how this is going to work, I'm just going to make a new REPL that's not part of the Teams project. So I'm going to the home page here. I'm going to click on plus new REPL. I don't need to use PyGame, I can just use Python for this. It will still work in PyGame, but it'll be a neater interface if I use Python. Because what we want to do is to show how we can use a list of similar items and work our way through them one at a time. So I'm going to say that date list equals, and then I'm going to give it some square brackets to make a list of things. And the things I'm going to make are going to be also themselves in square brackets. I'm going to take some typical dates. So some dates might be 25th, and that is in the month of December. And we tend to refer to that as Xmas or Christmas. So there's one object. Now I'm going to make a second object, so square brackets for the second object, comma between. And my second thing is going to be the 21st of March. And that's the first day of spring. And that is sometimes known as the vernal equinox. I'll do one more. And so we're going to go for the, forgot my brackets. So brackets to make an object that's separate from all the other ones. And then I'm going to give it the first. And the month I'm going to give it is April. And that should be inside speech marks. And the 1st of April is sometimes known as April Fool's Day. So I have 3 separate objects inside square brackets to make them a list. And what I'm going to say is for day in date list. So I'm using a for loop to step through each of those items. And I'm just going to say print. And what I'm going to say? Well, I'm going to say day brackets 2. Now, if I just run this code, you will see that I get the name that I gave to each of those days. Day 0 is the first item, day 1 is the second item, and day 2 is the third item. So I could say day 2, comma, happens on, comma, and then day 0 will be the first bit of information, so the 25th or the 21st and so on, comma, of, comma, day 1. And if I run that now, Christmas happens on the 25th of December, vernal equinox happens on the 21st of March, April Fool's Day happens on 1st of April. Got a few extra spaces that I didn't really need there, because the commas take care of those. But this is how we would use a list of similar information and step through dealing with each one. And we will use this technique when we come to look at having a list of different enemies, different zombies, different robbers that our policeman player can go up against.